I'm trying to be more of a glass is half full kind of guy. More specifically DC, it feels like maybe they're doing more things behind the scenes to make things better. But Marvel they always, like, I just want to strangle the shit out of them because they just keep making the same mistakes over and over again. I don't know if you're feeling this, but I'm feeling it. I'm in Amazing Spider-Man gang war. It feels like it's been going on forever. I don't even know how many issues we're into it. We're well over 20. Apparently we're going to get to 30 by the time this damn thing is over. It's not really about anything. It's really going nowhere. It's something about Madam Mask in the end. Who cares about Madam Mask? Not you or I, but we all know that. But Marvel Comics continue to do these really enormous events. And then they decide to say, well, you think Gang War is too big? Hold my beer. The next event will be even bigger. And the word out now right now is like, oh, it's Blood Hunt's going to be 27 issues. No, more like 45 issues. It's more like 45 issues in total. And it's basically just a copycat of DC versus Vampires, a perfectly fine and kind of cool mini-series, maxi-series, I guess, from DC Comics in 2021 into 2023. It was James Tynion's, like, I guess, pet project when they were going to do DC 5G, and he didn't want anything to do with it. He started coming up with DC versus Vampires. Matthew Rosenberg came in to help co-write it because he was going off to Substack or whatever. Then they did like another 6-issue miniseries tied into it called All Out War. And it was all right. It's probably the best thing Matthew Rosenberg's ever done in his life, but literally it's DC heroes fighting vampires. But 18 issues, I guess it's actually 20 issues because there's 2 extra one-shots, but 20 issues seem like more than enough of heroes fighting vampires. And Marvel's like, nah, that's not even half of what you needed. We're going to go all out on Blood Hunt, and we're going to throw in some stupid gimmicks to overcharge you on comic books as well. And I got all the news, including one of the tie-in series. Marvel Comics revealed a slew of one-shot tie-ins and limited series, all building off the summer event Blood Hunt. The main series is written by Jed MacKay with art by Pepe the Raz, running 5 issues, and it appears there will be 8 limited series, 6 one-shots, and 7 series tie-ins. There will be some awesome variant covers sporting foil technology. That's 27 comics involved in the event, according to the calculations of Adventures in Poor Taste, but assuming the limited series are actually 3 issues each, which we've already seen 2 of them announced, and they're both 3 issues, that number actually jumps to 43. And God forbid if a few of them are 4 issues, because then it goes well over 45. And of course, there does have to be the foil variants, because we got to have variants and all that. Even though we know Marvel and DC were both screwing over retailers with their foil variants, especially Marvel, where they are basically charging the retailers the exact same price that the retailers were supposed to sell it for, at cover price. Thus, the retailers actually losing money because they had to pay for the shipping. Of course, they're going to do that with Blood Hunt, the biggest event that you absolutely need to read about Marvel Comics heroes fighting vampires, which isn't the worst idea in the world. People like that kind of stuff. People like heroes fighting zombies, and they certainly like heroes fighting vampires, maybe not quite as much as zombies. If it was just Marvel Blood Hunt, a 5-issue limited series, with like 8 extra things tied to it, I'd be like, whatever. But once we're jumping over 40 issues, like, my mind's going to explode here, because I would like Marvel and DC to get back to something respectable when it comes to the health of the industry, and it's really not going to happen without them. Yet they continuously go down these series of just mind-boggling fucking decisions like DC Comics Night Terrors. Let's shut everything down in the beginning stages of our big reboot, so we can do a bunch of stories by writers that no one wanted to read about that don't tie into the series that people were reading about before, so they can stop reading. Let's do a Marvel Heroes versus Vampire story and make it 45 issues. Let's have Spider-Man be involved in a gang war, not really do anything in it, and make it last 30 issues. These kind of events just absolutely turn people off, and once you realize the scale of it, why would you want to invest yourself in Blood Hunt, even if you thought it was going to be good? You literally have to read 43 issues. You have to buy 43 issues just to keep up with the damn thing. Not exactly friendly on the wall, especially with everything going on with the economy right now. Probably not a great idea, but there's another way they're absolutely going to bend you and retailers over. Marvel announced special red band editions of Blood Hunt, the bloodiest event in Marvel Comics history. The mature rated Blood Hunt red band editions are labeled with a reader discretion is advised warning and a notice of explicit content. They are polybagged and contain additional pages and more graphic art, too explicit for the regular edition. While Marvel has published uncensored comics under its more adult-oriented imprints like Epic Comics and Marvel Max, the Blood Hunt Red Band editions marks the first time that a different edition of the same Marvel comic book is produced for more mature readers. And I am absolutely getting sick of this little fucking gimmick whether it be in movies or comic books or whatever. Fucking thank you very much, Zack Snyder, with your stupid PG-13 Rebel Moon. We've got the Ultimate Edition coming up, the rated R, where we got some titties in there. Maybe we can say the fucking F word or whatever. And then we're going to have the sequel, and then we're going to have an R-rated version of the sequel. And it's just like, it's another coat of paint. Do you want it to be a mature audience comic book? Do you want it to be a mature audience movie? Or do you not want it to be a mature audience? You know what I mean? Do you want it to be PG-13 or do you want it to be R? Stop making multiple editions of the same stuff. And they're going to charge you $2 more because there's going to be some extra blood splatter, in a poly bag on it. What, do you think we're going to see like Storm's tits in the comic book? Absolutely not. It's just a little bit of extra blood and a couple of extra pages of illustration that's probably more gory than what you got the first time. But you have to spend $2 extra for it. We don't even know if Blood Hunt's good. We don't even know if Rebel Moon's good. And actually, we know Rebel Moon's not very good, but you know what I'm saying? If we don't even know if this stuff is a big hit, and they're treating it like it's like the fucking definitive edition of Indiana Jones or fucking, oh man, what's the other one that they're always doing that with? Blade Runner or something like that. And it chaps my ass. It's another reason for people to give up on comic books, especially if you're a collector or a completionist. I want to have everything from Blood Hunt, but now you've got to spend an extra $8 on top of the $6 that you already spent for Blood Hunt =1 to get the polybagged red band edition of the comic book. People are tired of this shit. Just deliver a good story. That's all people want. Now, what are they going to be charging you $6 for the =1 unless you get the polybag edition $8? It's going to be absolutely amazeballs, right? The skies have gone dark. The sun is hiding its face from the carnage to come. The children of the night, the vampires, have risen from the dark and hidden places of the world as one to drown the Marvel Universe in blood. Earth's final night has fallen. Can even the heroes of this doomed world stem the tide of blood that is to come? Join the Avengers, Blade, Bloodline, Spider-Man, Hunter's Moon, Tiger, Doctor Strange, and Clea as the dance of deaths begins. Not surprising, we are going to get the characters that Jed MacKay is working on right now, Hunter's Moon and Tiger, obviously in his Vengeance of Moon Knight reboot that was just continuation of Moon Knight. That still pisses me off. And we're also going to get Doctor Strange and Clea from his Doctor Strange series. He's obviously the writer of the Avengers as well. And then, of course, they have to throw in Spider-Man because he's Spider-Man, and Spider-Man has to be a part of every single event. And, of course, Blade makes a whole lot of sense because he is the guy that fights vampires in the Marvel Comics universe. Although I thought he was the sheriff of Vampire Nation. Hopefully they've given that up. Why throw in Bloodline, a character no one cares about that never really worked? They never even fully engaged with giving the character like a real miniseries. At least I don't think they did. Did they give? I think Bloodline only got like a one shot from Danny Lore or something. And when you put Danny Lore on a character, I think you already know the character's dead. I think that's why you put Danny Lore on it. So not exactly the most exciting lineup, but of course Jed MacKay has to have his regular characters in there, as well as the ones that you would kind of expect. But I know a lot of people like to fillet fucking Jed MacKay right now because Moon Knight, is a very, very good series. Very, very good series. But, Taskmaster is one of the worst things I've ever read in my life. And I don't think Jed MacKay is either one of those writers. He's not as good as Moon Knight suggests that he might be. And he's not nearly as bad as Taskmaster suggests that he might be. He's kind of somewhere in the middle with writing this Avengers series that isn't very good. There's a good issue here and there, but for the most part, it's kind of meandering. I don't really care about the Twilight Court. I do not like what they just did with Nightmare in the last issue. In fact, that made me want to fucking hurl. And I've been also reading Doctor Strange, and there's been a couple of cool moments, with General Strange and all that stuff, but he draws everything out. He makes it way too long. I don't care about Clea, and I think the last two issues, they lost like a magical baby at a carnival or something. And then we had a special issue about the ghost dog. So he's been doing a lot of filler and kind of shit in there too. Get to the point, man. Stop wasting people's time and money with these stupid fill-in books on Doctor Strange. The Strange book sucked for the most part. So I think he might be an average writer, maybe a tick above, but there's also a good chance he's just a tick below being average as well. He's kind of somewhere in that range. He's not really a superstar, but Marvel has no superstars. So Jed MacKay is going to write the big, or at least be the driving force behind the big 45-issue crossover event in 2023. We do have information on two of the tie-ins. One of them I'm not going to talk about because who gives a fuck about Union Jack? Nobody. And then the other one does involve Black Panther. When Blood Hunt kicks off in May, no place in the Marvel Universe will be safe from the vampire's invasion. not even the proud nation of Wakanda. Spinning directly out of the startling developments of Blood Hunt comes Black Panther Blood Hunt, a 3-issue event tie-in series written by Cheryl Lynn Eaton, a person that you've likely never heard of because they've never written anything of significance, and drawn by Fareed Karami. Black Panther Blood Hunt sees the recently exiled T'Challa finally returning to Wakanda's capital city, only now he serves a different nation entirely, the Vampire Nation. One of the vampire's first, but certainly not last victims. T'Challa finds himself caught in a soul-crushing struggle between protecting his people from his new brothers and satisfying his new overpowering thirst for blood. And I will give it this. It does have a pretty striking cover. You know, I don't normally like just the big face, but a vampire version of Wakanda's leader, Black Panther, does admittedly look pretty cool. And I will say this. Now, you've never heard of Cheryl Lynn Eaton because she's not really a comic book writer, but whatever. The only thing she's done, I guess, is Marvel's voices. But Fareed Karami, who you've likely never heard of as well, is an absolutely dope artist. I can tell you right now, this comic book is going to look like $1 million. If you don't believe me, go read the second volume of David Michelini's Venom Lethal Protector, like the throwback series that they did recently. Fareed Karami was doing the art, and it was fucking spectacular. It was so good. I don't know why they're wasting him on a stupid Blood Hunt tie-in series written by someone no one's ever heard of. But this dude should be illustrating some of their mainline series because it's absolutely awesome. So I guarantee you the book will look like $1 million fucking dollars. But I don't know how it's going to read because that's a writer that probably doesn't know how to write comic books, i.e. they've only written stuff in Marvel's voices, an anthology series that no one pays attention to because they don't really care. It's just not all that important. Now, we do know that one of the first victims of the Vampire Nation will be T'Challa himself, the Black Panther. Good to see that he's been exiled from Wakanda. That makes a whole lot of sense within E-Viewing's Black Panther run. I wonder why people are reading Ultimate Black Panther. I would rather the series be written by Brian Edward Hill and illustrated by Fareed Karami, and then it might be like must-see. Maybe one of those things that you absolutely have to check out. But this is already starting to feel like DC Comics, what was that, Year of the Villain? Where all of a sudden, you know, like fucking Hawkman turns into a villain, and then Donna Troy turns into something, and like there were 7 people that were turned during the Year of the Villain thing, and it absolutely sucked, and no one cared, and people were like, please make this stuff go away. It already feels like that, even though we haven't gotten into it. Maybe I'm the only one feeling that way because maybe I'm the only one that wants to just choke the shit out of Marvel Comics right now and be like, man, what is your problem? Why do you keep doing stuff like this? No one asked for 45 issues of freaking Marvel heroes fighting vampires. Like, whatever, man. But that is what Marvel Comics are doing. If you would like to keep up to date with all the stuff going around with comic books, but also pop culture as well, there's a ton more content on the Patreon, the Thinking Critical Patreon, that is. There's a link in the video description. Wonderful podcast with my good friends like Aaron Sparrow, Doc, Jim from Weird Science. We've got 32 flavors of Nick Weiser, fun interviews and all that kind of stuff as well. 8 hours of brand new content every single week on the Patreon that you will not see here on the YouTube. So definitely check that one out. And I hope to see y'all later and come join us over there. It's a lot of fun.